The Tight Five.
Well, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's called iOS. It's only sport. My name is Martin Devlin, Lachlan Waugh alongside. I just want to explain that a little bit because I know that we have new listeners arriving every single day here at the platform. And again, will not do a single show here from Paris without thanking you so much personally for digging deep into your own pockets and sending us here, Operation Napoleon. It was all about you, the listeners, the clients, and the sponsors. This way the story went was we had a corporate sponsor all lined up, and for weeks and weeks and weeks they said to us, yes, we're happy to fund that, we'd love the coverage, all of this kind of stuff. And then out of nowhere one day we get a one-line email that says, no, we're not going to pursue this. No explanation, no phone calls were then answered, no emails were ever corresponded to, nothing like that. I'm not going to tell you who it was, it doesn't really matter. But the very next day, Sean Plunket, dear leader, went on air and he explained this briefly and said, look, if there's anyone out there that could contribute to this and wants Martin and Lachlan to go there and provide a different perspective and different kind of coverage, is there any way you could contribute? Well, within about 12, 14 hours, we raised about $30,000. It was just extraordinary. In my whole time in this industry, which has been over 30 years, I've never seen anything like it at all, which is why we're so eternally grateful. We flew economy class, of course. We haven't blown the budget. We've stayed in a 3-star hotel in the 10th arrondissement. And we've basically caught the tubes, the metros, everywhere that we have gone. We haven't splashed or gone extravagant at all. So we've been very kind of temperate with everything that we have spent, but we can tell you that we've absolutely adored and loved every single minute of it. Now we're closing down. We've only got a few days to go. We have got our media tickets confirmed for the final, and we will be bringing you all the post-match coverage of that on Monday's show. So here we go. Just a couple left for the week. And a feature called The Tight Five, where we get together and just nut over, debate, discuss, opinionate and remonstrate about 5 separate topics, all about the upcoming Rugby World Cup final. I want your thoughts on hearing both Jean de Villiers and Justin Marshall there, Lachlan, so a South African and All Black perspective, because we're just going to talk around and around and around and around this, because that's all we can do until kickoff comes, of course. Can both sides claim underdog status? I've been hearing that at both press conferences, where there has just been so much credit paid by the All Blacks to the Springboks, to the Springboks to the All Blacks. Would you rather lose the final or be involved in the 3rd and 4th place playoff? Because you've got to consider the prospect that we could be sitting there at the end, 80 minutes at the Stade de France, and we could feel elation or we could feel utter deflation. Do the 2 previous matches this year matter at all? What can we possibly glean from those? And the All Black team naming tomorrow, what do you expect from that? But first and foremost, look, we'd be very lucky, of course, every week to have Justin with us. But Jean de Villiers, who in fact actually was named to play in 4 separate World Cups. The man had the most dreadful luck possible, as you heard in that interview. He was injured just before 2003. He got injured in 2007 in the first game of that tournament, and they went on to win it. He's got a medal from that, of course. He didn't play the final. In 2011, he got through to the quarterfinal where they lost to Australia. 2015, again, he got injured, and that was in the second match. But just the way that the Boks think, I mean, they've got a lot of respect for us, but I just have they have this underlying self-belief, don't they? They really do think that they are the best team in the world and that they're going to prove that this Saturday night here in Paris. That's what I get.
Yeah, well, I think every team has that. I don't think there's a team out there that if they ever get to this point or they get to the knockout phase of the World Cup, where you talk about the All Blacks or the Springboks, England, anyone thinks that, oh, we're not that good, oh, okay, oh, maybe we shouldn't be here, or we're just making up the numbers. Everyone's always going to have that self-belief. I think the Springboks are kind of more vocal about it than we are, and I think part of that is their just odd tactics and substitutions that they make, the style that they play. I think there's an underlying arrogance in that. A good arrogance where this is how they play, this is what they do, they don't care what others think. People are always critical about the style of rugby they play, the 10-man rugby that they typically play, all these bomb kicks, and they just stick with it and stick with it and stick with it. And they know that others don't like it. Like, we were at a press conference, I think, last week for the All Blacks team naming, and there was that South African junior who asked the strangest question about what Ian Foster thinks about South African rugby. Is it boring?
Yeah.
It's like, well, one, this is an All Blacks Argentina team naming press conference, so you're in the wrong place, friend. But they know that people don't like them. Also, with South Africa, this is just my assumption. I can only really connect it to a team like Liverpool in the Premier League, where they have this, I don't know if the mantra is the right word, but this thing about them where it's more, there's more to what they do than just the sport.
Yeah, I get that too.
There's more,
Yeah, I get that too.
There's almost a social commentary about what they do, and they're winning games, and they're doing things for more than just winning games and winning trophies. They're doing it for their people. They're doing it for their fan base.
Well, I think that they unite their country in a way that we think we do, or we wish that we do, but they actually do. Yeah. And I think that, like, for example, in 1995, and you're not old enough, of course, you weren't around to remember, but them winning it, as bitter as it was for All Black fans, was probably the best thing that could have happened on that particular occasion. And then we've been told constantly, haven't we, about Sia Kolisi, and especially from Phyllis Andre, and what he brings to the nation, to the whole of the nation, that, you know, here, this is the first black Springbok captain.
And whenever they walk out, he's always, I don't think all of them are doing this, but he's one of the players, and some others do this, they're always singing a song when they walk out of the dressing room, and it's obviously some popular South African song that is another way to bind them all together. And you're right, there's a uniting element around how they play and how they go about their business that I think supersedes what any other team does. And the reason why I linked it to Liverpool is Liverpool always come, they have this saying, or this quote, "We are Liverpool, this means more."
This means more, that's
so
right.
It's kind of
Barcelona have that. They have it painted more than a club, more than just a club. It's going to be because it's the Catalan thing. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think that they draw on that, the inner Boca, and they're going to bring that big time. Can both teams claim underdog status? I love this. I just find this really amusing that at the press conferences, like, our guys are so humble about talking about South Africa and what an opponent they are and what they bring, and the Springboks do it back to us. It's not mind games. I guess what it is to me is that you can't provide any ammunition at all, can you? And they're very careful, and we get this. We see the expressions on the faces when questions are asked at press conferences. It's not dodging or ducking questions. It's just being as diplomatic as they possibly can. And I think part of that is saying, oh, no, you guys are better than, oh, you guys are better, you guys have done more, you guys, and both of us are trying to play that card as quickly as we can.
I can speak for New Zealand more than South Africa. It's not in our nature to really walk towards pressure or a status, or something that I think Australian sports teams do really well is they love being the villains in sport, but they like the limelight. I feel like they like the being the favourites and going into a match and going, yeah, we're the best team.
Yeah, we've got the big swinging. Yeah, look at us.
I don't think New Zealand's the same at all. We're far more modest. We like to sort of just go, oh, no, we'll see who's better on the day. Oh, we'll go out there and do our best. So I think that we'd actually like to be the underdogs in a sense. I don't know if there is, in terms of who's trying to be an underdog, I don't know, but I don't know if there actually is one.
Well, who's the favourite?
I don't know who the favourite is.
Well, the favourite on the New Zealand TAB is always the All Blacks, because it's always the All Blacks, because it's always the All Blacks.
So you ask South African fans, they're so complimentary of the All Blacks. There's not a team in the world, in all of sport, that I think South African sports fans have as much love and respect for outside of their own country.
But they believe they're going to win this game. You look at all the people we met in the hotel. They
they do, but I'm thinking of some of the fans that I met. It was ahead of the quarterfinals. Whenever we said we were All Blacks fans, they were just shaking our hands, loving us, saying, oh, we love the All Blacks, so much respect. Like, they think they can win, but if there's one team that they probably don't want to play in the final, it is us, because they have such admiration for us as a rugby nation.
Do you think that part of that is also the fact that our style is the one style that can unhinge them, because no other team attacks them like the way that we do? They try and bully and just bulldoze over the top of teams, and England, confronted them on that. Ireland during the group stage confronted them on that. France in the quarterfinal confronted.
I think France is similar to us, though. I think France, the only difference is that I guess there's more structure to our attack than
I'd say we execute better than France.
An unhinged nature to their attack.
Yeah, there is, but that's French. That's it. That's it.
But and I guess we've always had this sort of the physicality to match up with someone like South Africa. But in terms of there being a favourite, pre-tournament, I thought the Springboks would win the whole thing, and I didn't think we'd get past the quarterfinals. And if they'd beaten England more convincingly, I'd lean towards them. They also play a style that makes us very uncomfortable if we can't match up physically on the day. We just, they
also play a style that disrupts us. Yeah. I look at them. You mentioned Liverpool. I look at them like the Italian football team, for example. And, and go back even to the way that the Italian club sides play. Manchester City last year in the Champions League final. Every single knockout round. They beat Real by 4-0. They beat Bayern by 5-0. They beat Leipzig by 7-0. They get to play the Italians. They get to play Inter in that final. And this whole sort of Catenaccio style or whatever it is, which is just disruptive. It throws you off your game. And this is what they did in the 1995 final. I read some great comments from Mertz the other day, Andrew Mertens. finally somebody being honest about it, because I've always maintained the best team won that game because the best team had the best tactics on that particular day and they stopped us playing. And he actually said, look, the reality of it is, he said, South Africa were the first team that tackled us in the tournament. He said, nobody else tackled us. And he said, they sat us on our backsides, they swamped Jonah. That's what they bring. They bring a different style to it, and this style upsets us. Couple more questions for you. Do the 2 previous matches so far this year mean anything? Because I think... Well, no, they must.
No, they don't.
Tactically, you've got to look at those matches.
No, you don't. There's 2... Well, you can to a degree. There's 2... there are 3 layers to both games, 2 for each, and one of them is shared between the 2 games. The one that is shared is this is a World Cup final, those weren't World Cup matches, and this is a World Cup year. So you can't look into those. If you're going to look into those, you're going to look into the fact that Australia beat us ahead of the 2015 World Cup final. Go, oh, maybe Australia will turn up and we beat them in the final. It didn't matter. So that's the same thing for both games. For the first match at Mount Smart Stadium, the Springboks, which people zigged one way and they should have zagged the other way. What people said is, this is a South African team that have sent over pretty much their best side a week early. They're going to be refreshed and ready for this game. People bought into this idea that we're going to get pumped by South Africa, and we ended up absolutely beasting them that first half. What they should have said is, this is a team that hasn't played in about 2 weeks.
On reflection,
they're travelling around the world.
Yeah, you're right.
The jet lag is certainly... I mean, if it plays a part in us being able to do our show and us feeling just dreadful on that first Monday when we turned up to France, I have no doubt that it plays a part for how a rugby team is going to play a game. The second game, it's a similar thing where the All Blacks had only arrived a couple of days prior to that game, so there's a bit of jet lag there. As well as that, they had a red card in the first half. Where at the time, I really wanted to buy into this fact because, look, I fell into the trap of wanting to be anti-All Blacks because I was so disappointed with how they were playing last year, the records that they were setting that they shouldn't have been setting. I wanted to be anti-All Blacks. So when they got beaten by South Africa 35-7, I looked for every storyline to say, no, this is a warning. We're not going to do well at this tournament.
Yeah, we're not good enough.
The red card totally changes the complexion of a game. You look at the Lions series in 2017 with Sonny Bill's red card. If he doesn't get red carded, we still probably win that game because we only lost by 3. When you've got 14 men for well over half of the match and it's a forward up against the Springboks, and you're dealing with jet lag, you're not going to play well. So I don't think any of them are going to... either of those games have been a great representation of what in-form, healthy All Blacks and Springboks teams up against each other in a World Cup final where they've started to pick up, at least from an All Blacks perspective, their form was picked up over the last couple of weeks. They've got 15 on 15 all going to plan. There's no red cards. And you're at a neutral venue. You've been in those countries for 7, 8, 9 weeks now. I don't think any of those games earlier this year really do preview what can happen this weekend. Feeling.
All Black team naming tomorrow. We're going to go to that. Do you expect the same 23 that played against Argentina? I will say there'll be a couple of tweaks. I think that Dane Coles comes onto the bench for Samasoni. Mm-hmm. I think that Scott Barrett and Brodie start and Sam Whitelock goes back to the bench. Mm-hmm. I think Talea starts as well like he did against Argentina, and I don't expect any other changes to the team.
No, I think it'd be that as well. I think the only changes there could be that Samasoni Tokiaho does come off the bench because purely by the fact that he did media earlier this week.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and thought, now it was on Monday, so Monday sort of still qualifies as a post-weekend sort of media day, but I just thought, why are you putting up a guy who
that won't be playing?
Probably won't be playing. So then that made me think, is Cody Taylor carrying a slight niggle? Is Dane Coles carrying a slight niggle? I don't know. But that's the only reason why. Other than that, there's no reason to think that Dane Coles won't come off the bench. And I'd rather him against South Africa. I'd rather the intangible niggle that he brings. I'd like that to be on the field on Saturday night. Talea, I thought played really well last week. There's no reason to have Leicester start ahead of him. The only other one could be Cam Roigard, who clearly something's gone on here, by the way.
I mean, he
clearly something's gone on.
During the World Cup, after a couple of those matches, in the pool play, he had usurped Finlay Christie.
Absolutely.
No question about that. And then something went on, and, there are rumours sparking all over the joint about what the hell it was. It happened around the same time as Talea, and we haven't heard from him since. We haven't seen him since. He hasn't appeared at anything since. No. He's been kept well away from the media. And here was a guy that you would have thought, I totally agree with you, would have been the number.
It brings something a lot different to what Aaron Smith does.
Totally agree.
Brings it off. So I don't know. But I would say that based on the last couple of weeks, Finlay Christie will probably be on the bench.
One final topic to go then. Can you contemplate defeat? Can you think
Yes.
about... You can?
I personally can, because I've had to go through it twice this year.
Right, with the Broncos, of course.
And the Eagles in the Super
Eagles,
Bowl.
of course. The All Blacks playing a World Cup final. I have watched us win a World Cup final, and that was at home. So away from home to win a World Cup, I mean, what a treat this would be as an All Blacks fan. Do we have to think about that? Because if we're going to dream about winning it, we've also got to think about the fact that we may not win it, that we could be sitting there with our puss face at the end of this game at the Stade de France. We could be going absolutely ballistic. We might be going completely bummed out.
Yeah, the issue is because of the upturn in form of the All Blacks, particularly since the win over Ireland, is that I think people now, if anyone's like me, look, we're both just fans at the end of the day. As much as we have a job to do, what fuels our love for the job is the fact that we're just two stupid, dumb fans.
Yeah, it's it.
So it's so easy to get caught in the trap of, oh no, well, we beat Ireland, didn't think we would, and we just destroyed Argentina when I don't think we looked that good at all. Oh, we'll win this. It's written in the stars. Fozzie will walk into the sunset with a World Cup trophy hanging on his head and whatnot. He'll become a Sir. You know, all these players will get to retire with another World Cup title. It's written in the stars. And then you sit there and go, oh, heck, well, what if we don't win? I didn't expect us to win the World Cup coming here. I didn't expect us to win the World Cup at the start of the year when we got back from our summer break. I even expected us to win the World Cup.
The very first show saying that this side is not good enough to win the Rugby World Cup final. I hope that I eat humble pie, and I hope my words are...
Well, you said they've got as good a chance as anyone, to be fair.
That's what I did say at the same time.
It was a very diplomatic editorial, but I won't be obviously I will be disappointed, because you want to win it, and it's the All Blacks, and losing it to such a close rival would suck immensely. But at the same time, the fact that we're in there was a guy who you spoke to post-match against Ireland who said, I don't care if we don't win the World Cup now, I'm just happy we won that game. I don't operate like that.
No.
I don't take pleasure from winning a quarter final.
No. We're here to win it, mate. We're in it to win it.
Exactly. So if we don't win the final, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, well, at least we got there. Oh, still proud of the team. Like, obviously, I'll still be proud of the team. They've done well. But I want to win it. So if we lose, I don't know. I actually don't know how I feel, because the Eagles loss in the Super Bowl sucked, but at the same time, we lost to a team that is probably better than us, but we had a 10-point lead in the second half, so that one was ordinary. The Broncos one really hurt, because we got up by 16 with 15 or 20 minutes to go. That one I needed a couple of days to really get it out of my system. This one, it depends on the manner of the loss. If it's similar where we have a lead and then we lose it at the end, that'll just be the most gut-wrenching thing. If it's something where we've just been outplayed the whole time, we end up losing by about 10 points, then you're able to, you process it more and come to terms with the defeat during the game. So you're like, well, okay, it depends what the manner of the defeat is, but I don't know if I'm prepared for it, because I'll find out at full time.
Devlin.
Yes, can we do it?
The platform.